addressing his disciples. Probably we can check it and read.
Yeah.
And I was saying, Jesus often uses hyperbolical statements, meaning we don't take his statement literally.
Yeah.
You see, typical example is that if your right eye causes you to sin,
yes,
pluck it,
out,
and throw it away. It is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell.
I tell you.
You see, Matthew 5:29. Christ certainly did not intend this to be applied literally. If it happens so, then all of us, the believers, we will have one eye.
Yeah.
Because we make mistakes, we sin and all that. You see, we have the last of the eye and the last of the flesh. So, for example, if I see a beautiful lady and my eyes, though Christ says you have sinned, even if you decided you're
yes.
But then he's saying, plug the eye.
Yeah.
And we can see bishops and apostles with one eye. That is hyperbolical statement.
Yes.
Last week I made reference of Luke 22, 35 to 38.
Yeah.
When Christ was telling his disciples, if you don't have, he said, when I sent you for the first time, I didn't ask you to go with anything. But now, if you don't have money, look for money. If you don't have a sword, sell your garment and buy a sword.
Yes.
That is a hyperbolical statement. Immediately, even the disciples who were with Jesus couldn't comprehend.
Yes.
And they brought two swords. They said, Jesus, here you are. The sword you are talking about it is what we have here. And Jesus said, no, let's forget it. Because you can't get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And even mind you, at that instant,
yes,
there were 12 disciples, but they had only two swords.
Yes.
What are the rest 10 doing with that sword?
So they were traveling with sword?
You see, it's a big issue, a debatable statement here. So, when we examine what Jesus said, he was not referring literally to what we understand about his statement.
Yeah.
But the point is that,
yes,
last week I tried to establish the meaning of a father. A father is now even have more deeper meaning than what I taught before.
Okay.
A father is a source.
In order for us to,
I will come back to your question.
Yes.
I will come back to your question. I'm just building,
the foundation.
theological, debate. You see, a father is a source.
Yeah.
Probably in the church of College, there was a problem. You see, you can understand from 1 Corinthians 1 and 2, Paul was trying to address so many issues.
Yes.
Marital issue and all that. So this statement, probably, there was a chaos. People were referring to some people as their father.
Okay. Now, I think, now I have not taken my time to really look at the context very well, but I think the whatever the situation playing out there is very obvious. I mean, that verse alone tells a lot. Whatever it was playing out there, I don't think it's different from what is playing out in our religious society.
Exactly, that's what I said.
Exactly. So then we can relate to that and use that as a basis to launch this discussion. So so clarify that, bring out.
Bring it into our setting, our local churches. Most people refer to some folks or
as
leaders as fathers.
And some fathers, people also are claiming fatherhood or claiming other people as their sons and daughters.
Exactly. That is another dimension of the debate. But let's bring it to those who refer to, let's say, church leaders, pastors as fathers.
Yeah.
Some are genuine in the sense that they are trying to attach respect to their office.
Yes.
Some are just making that statement for making sense. They don't even have a meaning to it. So for me, I find it difficult to accept somebody calling me father. You can't just call me father when you don't know the meaning of the fatherhood.
Yes.
So most often than not, wherever I go, some call me father. You see, in our kind language, for instance, daddy. Then one day I was in the pulpit and I said, look, those of you who just call me daddy, probably for the fun of it, I'm not comfortable with it. Because the scripture says, if I am your daddy, it's my honor.
Exactly.
Now, I wanted to hold you right there. Pastor Elias, I don't know your take on this, because what he was just saying, I know in an African cultural context, you may refer to somebody as a father, not literally meaning that you are claiming that person to be your father, but perhaps out of respect. And I'm thinking that the person is maybe on the same age level or in the same category with your either biological or spiritual father. You may refer to him as a father. Do you think that is offensive for somebody to do that?
Good morning to our beloved listeners. It's a very interesting topic as we're discussing now. And I had the opportunity also to listen to last week's transmission. And it's a very worrisome thing which is happening in our day.
Yes.
And the only consolation that we can take from here is that it's fulfilling the scripture. If we have to look at from the point of maybe prophecies and everything, then we can have our heart being settled.
Yeah.
And apart from that, it's a very, very troublesome thing which is happening with us. But for us not to be able to deviate from the main issue is that the spiritual father aspect that we're talking about has got to do with faith. We're not talking about biological father, but it's like a faith issue and the faith that we have in God. And God is a spirit, and anybody who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So looking up to the spiritual fathers are those who have been ahead of us and who have a good example.
Yes.
So even in the book of Romans, I think somewhere chapter 4 was telling us that Abraham, being the father of faith through the spiritual aspect, supposed to be our example.
Yes.
So the spiritual father that we're talking about must begin from our local churches. And it's a two-way traffic. Do we have spiritual fathers who are giving us a good example? And the congregation also, are they becoming sons who are also becoming children who also want to take instructions? Because this spiritual father aspect is nothing more than looking up to the one who is leading you in the spiritual things. Then you are learning from him, taking counseling from him, and that is all that it takes. So as Pastor Quincy is saying, that if somebody is calling him daddy, is a trouble to him. Of course, I can understand him from this point of view that if that person is not taking instruction from him and not learning from him, then it's a form of abuse.
Yes.
It's a form of abuse because you are saying something which is not there.
Yeah.
And either you are making mockery of him or whatever is known is only known to the person.
Yes.
So to my understanding, if we're talking about spiritual fatherhood, somebody whom you are looking up to is supposed to be one, as he said it last week, that begin from our local pastors in our local churches. How people are ever ready to take instructions from our pastors.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that we are having. And I think last week even there was a very good question coming from Apostle Helen.
Yes.
That people here, even in our local congregation, might be looking up to somebody far distance and saying, this is my spiritual father, this is my spiritual this.
Okay. Now I right on that point, I want to say, can we then, because the confusion is about some of this, is because people just tag anything father, anybody father, without meaning. And like you're saying, somebody, if first for somebody to call you father and doesn't mean it. So then, can we then clarify who is supposed to be called the spiritual father?
Absolutely. That's the statement that I just made. Beginning from our local churches, you can have you can just, anybody at all, a good preacher or maybe a renowned speaker can be maybe somebody that you are looking up to.
Yeah.
But when we are talking about spiritual father, your local church, your pastor is supposed to be your spiritual father.
Yeah.
What is the duty of a father? That is how we have to look up to.
Exactly.
What is the duty of a father? A father is there just to protect, just to correct, just to advise.
Okay, hold on. I want us to get into the roles, the duty of a father before that. But you said that your local pastor can be your spiritual father. Okay, because people use the word father.
That's supposed to be the first thing.
Supposed to be your spiritual father.
But people use the word father in many contexts, and if we can touch on all of this, then you can solve the puzzle, because it is a vast array of references that people are making.
Apostle, then let's take it from this perspective.
Yes.
Look, let's drop the aspect of spirituality here. Then we just take it literally as a father.
Okay.
When we come to my culture, any other person who can begot you as a son or daughter is referred to as a father.
Yeah.
We acknowledge that.
Yeah.
It's a kind of respect
we give to the person.
We attribute to people in society.
Yeah.
But when we attach that spirituality, it's a different ball game. A spirituality aspect deals with your local church setting. Whoever is your senior pastor supposed to be your spiritual father, in the sense that he oversees all affairs pertaining to spiritual and physical being of you, because he feed you spiritually, guide you, and direct you. For example, Jesus, fatherhood simply means a teacher. Jesus was saying in Matthew 28 that go into all the world and preach the gospel and teach them.
Yeah.
You see, so if you are a father, your prime duty is to teach and to guide.
Yeah.
So a father is a sort of conduit which we take source from, which we connect and get nourishment and spiritual things and physical things, so that it can guide us. The fatherhood concept is to guide you, the son or the daughter, to reach your goal. You can even say he is a mentor or a coach.
Yeah, that's so. Yes.
So we need to have one, and we need to acknowledge that our senior pastors, our spiritual fathers, regardless of the age. Regardless of the age.
I think that is settled.
Yes, regardless of the age. See? So, but if you don't see it that, then you have a problem. Then you don't belong to that denomination. If you can't be under that authority and see him as a father figure, then you better look for another church. That's why I made an example from my own experience when I met the Archbishop Nicholas Nonkan William.
Yes.
I was getting confused, and I asked him, can I say he's my spiritual father, or can I submit to him as a spiritual father? Then he says that would be an error. If I'm not in his church, I cannot be his spiritual father. I can only be his spiritual father, father. If I can only be his spiritual son if I'm in his church, or if I am on my own and I don't belong to any local church. Probably I have started my own church. Then I want to see him as a father figure who can advise me in ministry. Then I can come to him and submit to him that I want to bring my entire ministry or church under his authority, so that he can guide. You see, the danger here is that those of us who owns our own churches and we don't have spiritual fathers who mentor us and reprove us and teach us and tell us what we are doing is wrong, we always fall into ditch, and our ministry will never last, because as Pastor Elias said, there are people way ahead of us.
Yes.
Who have passed through the test and they have come out. See, so we look up to them. That is where I would like to quote what Paul said. He says, look up to me, because I am the one who,
left you in Christ.
Yes, brought you into Christ.
Okay, now, you see, the thing is that we know the term spiritual father is used loosely.
Yes.
Now, there are people, let's say giants in the field of Christendom, and people look at them as father figures. For example, in the Bible, anybody from the tribe of Judah, when we talk about the divided kingdom, who ruled well, they always refer to as the son of David. And the one who didn't do well, they didn't attach his name to David. Anybody who lived righteously and ruled well in the fear of God was called as a son of David.
Yeah.
But biologically, they were not children of David.
Even Jesus was referred to as the son of David.
Okay,
yes, it's true.
You see,
but David was not.
Apostle,
but then
that is clear.
that is clear. But then, we are looking at a situation where in the church today, people are in an abusive way using the term fatherhood, or attaching themselves to fathers or other fathers claiming children unto themselves illegitimately.
Yeah.
And that is what the issue I want to clarify. And because when we don't clarify that, this mess will continue. And people use this illusory and get away with anything and cause any commotion and call anybody from anywhere spiritual father. And I think this kind of nonsense was what was sorry, excuse my language.
That's okay.
This kind of nonsense was going on a thing in the church of Corinth too.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Look into the statement of Paul.
Yeah.
It tells you there is something just going on that is not very happy about it. People perhaps might be coming in there with a different motives and agenda. And that is, in our local churches, let maybe a foreign preacher comes.
Yes.
Maybe 1 or 2 days, you see that even the congregation even forgotten that the pastor who have been staying with them for all these years is no more powerful anymore. But only the pastor who is just passing
It's true.
with just a short time.
He's so anointed.
That is how it is.
Yeah.
So Paul was telling them, you can have so many
Visitors.
guys, or yes, a lot of people you can look up to them. But when we're talking about a spiritual father, it's the one who is shepherding you and the one who is feeding you spiritually. So this thing we should not forget it. But the problem is two-way traffic. Are the fathers, as Pastor Kwezin was saying,
Yes.
that if somebody is claiming that or telling him that, it's worrisome to him. Why? Is that person fulfilling the duty of a sonship?
Exactly.
So we as fathers and we as sons, we should be able to balance it. We are not talking about the local congregation now. But what about the fathers also, who are also claiming this? So we also have to tell them also the truth.
You see, those who are claiming fatherhood, probably they led you to Christ, and you have not acknowledged him.
Yes.
So out of anger, sometimes, when they see your success and what you are doing in the community, and they say, this guy is doing well. He says, this is my son.
Okay.
It is my son. And he don't acknowledge me even as a son. I led him to Christ. He was my keyboardist, he was my drummer. And you see, they were making those references for people to know that they have passed through him.
Yes, okay.
You know?
Okay.
So that claims sometimes for me is also worrisome. We don't impose it on people. It's a matter of choice.
What is a matter of choice?
Yes.
The claim over the spiritual son or the
yes,
other one?
I can decide not to see you as such. Though you led me to Christ, I have grown and I have seen what I think, is okay with me. And I have decided to go in for someone else, his authority, to become my spiritual father. So I see no reason.
Is that a valid thing to do? Even in spiritual terms, why would Paul be claiming or reminding them that he begot them in Christ?
Because we should look at the context. He was speaking to a particular group of people, a church in Corinth. He was addressing them.
Yes.
This is a man who has so many churches, established so many churches.
Yeah.
So in every area he will go, probably his statement will be different. It will depend on the issue he was trying to address.
Yes.
That's why some people find it difficult in Jesus' case. They find it difficult to understand. It was a type of address given to his disciple at a particular time and at a particular place. For example, if apostle, you have established churches, let's say in 3 countries, and there are problems in one of them and you go there, you will speak under the authority as the father. See? So you can say that, look, I am the only father of this church. You may have so many fathers, but I am the only father because I established this church. I brought you people all here. Under my tutelage, you people have become what you are.
Yeah.
See, so we should address it properly. And the point is, those people who think It's neither here nor there. This spiritual fatherhood thing. For me, I disagree with them. We still have spiritual fathers. And the New Testament tells us so many examples of spiritual fathers. And we can go through the scripture and probably read them for people to understand. Some people have a problem with that. But in the content of churches and spirituality, we should accept that there are people we can refer to as our fathers.
Yes.
There are people we can refer to as our mothers. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Pastor, as you are rightly saying, even when I heard about this topic, before even you sent me the transcript, I was just trying to look through the scriptures, whether I can find that word specifically, spiritual father.
No, it's not there.
And it's not there. You cannot find it anywhere. But
Mentor.
you see it is somewhere, even where Paul is speaking to us, and according to 1 Corinthians chapter 14 here that we just read, you could see it clearly that it's not talking about spiritual father per se, but it's something that we can relate to. So if anybody is having a problem with the spiritual father, I think the person is not thinking right. I think so. Because it's a scriptural thing that we have to accept and we have to acknowledge that you being under the covering of a local pastor, he's supposed to be your spiritual father, irrespective of how that person may look like. As far as you are under his canopy, then of course he is your spiritual father or spiritual mother.
Okay, that is settled. For sheep to be under the father of a shepherd.
Yes.
Okay, and what about ministers then? Ministers who are, we're saying, who are shepherding people. Are they supposed to have spiritual fathers too?
Oh yes, why not?
Okay. Everyone.
Everyone.
Look, I am of the opinion that every minister,
Yes,
needs to have
somebody
a spiritual
too.
father.
Exactly.
Because the less is blessed by the greater.
Yes, that's the word.
Hebrews 7:7. You need to have a mentor, regardless of your position in ministry. You need to have somebody who is
over you.
above you. In fact, we don't have the anointing equally. There are people who are there. For example, I always want to quote Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. He says, when he look in Ghana, where he comes from, he don't see anybody who is more anointed than him. Why? Because he started this charismatic movement before any other person.
Yes.
Name them. Regardless of what they have achieved now.
Yes.
So if he want to bless somebody who is above him spiritually, he look around, and sometimes he go to Dr. What is his name? This prophet.
Miles.
No, in America. Morris.
T.D. Jakes.
Yes.
Marcelo.
Morris Sororo. You see, he looks up to him that he is above him spiritually.
Okay.
And he mentioned another man of God. So if he have any
Gift.
seed to sow, he don't sow to any local pastor in Ghana because he believes that the less is blessed by the greater.
Yeah.
So he goes to someone who is above
Higher.
him
Yes.
spiritually
Yes.
and give his gift to. For example, if this man in present memory, this Nigerian man, what is his name? Idahosa supposed to be alive.
That's his father.
Yes, that is his father.
Yeah.
That will be his father. So even Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams look up to somebody as a spiritual father, then talk less of we that we are up and coming. You see.
But then, if you are mentioning that, then that brings me to what I wanted to say about spiritual fatherhood. I believe that it is not just only that a local pastor has to be a spiritual father to someone. I don't think it's only when that person has a church or is in a church. Because I think a spiritual father is a mentor, a spiritual mentor that guides you, leads you to the walking of your faith, to your destiny. So you made mention of Idahosa now, but Idahosa and Papa Archbishop was never in the church of Idahosa, but I believe maybe he taught him in one way or the other in Bible school. That's how he could refer him now as his spiritual mentor.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then also in the Bible, Joseph was saying, I have become a father,
Yeah.
a spiritual father
Yes,
to Pharaoh.
That's right.
But Joseph never had a church. So I think this thing, because if we only limit it to only the church environment, then it's like there are some people also, maybe they are not even in the church, and then they are also practicing Christians, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe by virtue of their work or whatever, they don't go to church all the time, but they still have some spiritual
Fathers,
fathers because they take counsel from
interesting.
Yes.
Also, in every setting,
You
you see, in every setting, they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
When I enrolled into seminary,
Yeah.
we were taught, or we were automatically given spiritual fathers, which of course they did not use the word spiritual fathers, but they used the word mentor.
Yeah, mentor, yes.
So each student had a mentor, and these mentors are to guide you through your years of study.
Yes.
If you have any problem in your education or you don't understand any class work, you can go to your mentor.
Yes.
Apart from your teacher, I say, Professor, this is my problem. So in even education, we have mentors.
Yes.
It can also be that even in your vicinity, your locality,
Yes.
you can look up to somebody
Yes.
who lifestyle can challenge you.
Okay, now hold it right there. So that means when we talk about fatherhood now, the meaning is broader. It includes somebody who mentors you.
It is.
So like the example she gave,
Joseph.
Joseph and
Pharaoh. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now even in the secular world,
Yes.
there are people who are seen like that as fathers.
Yes.
So is it that we are limiting the term too much to maybe
Local church.
somebody who, let's say, begets directly or has influence directly upon you and therefore has that connection? I'm not sure, but I want us not to lose the trend of what we're trying to the problem we're trying to solve. That is the issue of people not really staying under authority. And doing what they want, and then it's like there is, there's this other chaos of, in terms of leadership in the church and the problems that it's causing. And people going to attach themselves to anybody they feel like, who they think, okay, I can be here. And meanwhile, the person they're attaching themselves
Doesn't even know them.
has no influence or cannot make any input in their lives.
Exactly.
Clearly,
Yes.
we are not deviating, or we are not saying that what you are saying does not exist.
Yeah.
The issue is we need to start from somewhere, and we are talking about spiritual fatherhood.
Yes.
And we know spirituality have got to do with our faith,
Yeah, that's
believing
right.
in God, and that's how.
That's right.
If we can just establish this fact,
Yes.
then the chaos might be lessened.
Uh-huh.
As Apostle Helen said it right.
Yeah.
Let us look to the relationship between Pharaoh
Yes.
and Joseph.
Exactly. Look at
If
it.
we have to look at it in an umbrella,
Yes.
then it looks as if Joseph is a pastor now,
Yes.
and Pharaoh is under him.
Exactly.
And spiritual counsel.
He submitted to Joseph.
This is what happened.
He submitted to
And that is
Joseph.
where we are starting from, and that is how we are trying to establish.
You see?
This is what we are saying.
He
So we are
submitted to
not
Joseph.
denying it,
No.
whether in a secular or whatever it is, but looking
ought to
at
be
it
submission.
critically, absolutely.
Total
That's why it is.
submission.
So now the question is the spirituality aspect. You
Yeah.
see, because we are talking about a specific faith.
Yes.
You and I, we are
Christians.
believers, and
Yes.
we believe in the authority of our leaders. That's why Paul says in Hebrews 13:17, he says, "Have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as
Yes.
those who must give an account." Why should they give an account? Because God has placed them to be mentors, to be fathers,
Yes.
so that they can teach and guide and direct you. You see, Christianity is not just accept Christ as your savior and you end it up.
Yeah.
It's a process. We keep learning, but we need people to teach us. That's why in the prophetic ministry we have chaos.
Yes.
Chaos in the sense that this so-called prophet will not submit to anybody. They will say, "I have been called by God and know what or that person can instruct me." what I'm doing is divine, and for that reason, I do what I want to do. And you will see them doing some things that are
questionable.
Very, very questionable.
Uncalled for. You see, so we all should understand that, regardless of your situation and your position, you need a mentor. You need
Everybody needs a mentor.
Everybody needs a father who can tell you what you are doing is right or wrong. So a church or a leader without a father or spiritual father is a serious issue.
It's a serious issue.
Yeah, it's a serious issue.
Well,
so
if you're listening to this program and you want to make an input, give us a call on 0207371619. If you have a question or remark, please give us a call. Okay, I think there's a remark here.
So, it's not, yes, it's a remark. In other words, if somebody is saying that this is my spiritual father, I believe Pastor Kwesinke made a statement at the earlier of this broadcast that he was in a pulpit and then he had to rebuke some of the people who were hypocritically. Because I don't think a man of God will just stand somewhere and maybe become a little bit offended because people just called him. We all are from African culture, and we know that sometimes people will just admire you and they call you Papa and Papa. But somehow, I believe he was referring to those who maybe have about 60 or 70% in their heart, calling him Papa, but they do not fulfill a role.
They don't even understand why they are calling me Papa.
Yes, they don't fulfill a role. So if you are calling somebody, this is my spiritual father, there got to be some principles.
That's right.
And there also got to be some obligations that are involved in that making that claim. So you can't just claim and say, that's my father. The person doesn't advise you, doesn't talk into your life, and then you don't fulfill your role as paying, doing some certain things you're supposed to, getting counseling from him, or giving some tokens to the man or woman of God for mentoring you, paying your tithe, blessing them, because Abraham, or in the book of Genesis, Abraham was blessed by Melchizedek, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. So the higher blesses the lesser.
Exactly.
So if that person is rightfully saying this is my spiritual father or that's my spiritual mother, then there got to be some roles which you have to play that must place you under your distance.
Last broadcast, I made mention of a young man when I visited Ghana, and he admired my ministry, and he wants me to be his spiritual father. I asked him this basic question: do you understand who a spiritual father is? Do you really understand? He says yes, blah blah blah. You see, I have finally found out that probably he loved my giftings and he want to use what I have. But he really deep down don't understand. He want to take advantage of me whenever I'm on holidays.
Yeah.
He's using me to do a crusade for him and things like that.
But
I told him it doesn't work like that.
At all.
If you want me to come and do a crusade, buy my ticket.
Yes.
Sponsor me to Ghana,
and then,
give me a place to sleep, give me something to eat, then I will know you are serious.
Yes.
And ever since I mentioned that, the program you wanted me to host for you in October, I have never heard from the young man up to today. You see, so that's why sometimes I get offended when people
call me that.
Exactly.
Tell
you why this Papa. What is Papa?
No, that's the same thing. I think I buy that idea because some certain people will see me and they say, you are my spiritual mother. And sometimes some want to load it on me. They would say, God told me you are my spiritual mother.
They should do the right
and meanwhile,
thing.
they are in another church, they have their own church, they do nothing. They say, but God told me. Then I began to watch. I said, look, there's a particular lady that was always telling me God told her, I'm the spiritual mother. And then every time I watch some events. During Christmas, you don't even call me. During New Year, you don't call me. In any of these anniversaries, you don't call me. And even during Mother's Day, you didn't call me. And then you go about claiming that. So I said, where is my position? Where is my position? I said, no, God didn't tell me I am. Please, I didn't. So I refuse to accept that.
That is fine. And that is the two-way traffic that I'm talking about. You understand?
Yeah.
We as a fathers supposed to be able to correct those who are just making the mistake. And those who are also, as our children, also supposed to learn to do the right thing.
Yes.
That is how it is.
Exactly.
Simple.
That is actually one of the aims of this morning's broadcast. But I think we have to do some foundation building work, to establish the basis to move on. Okay, so then we settle on. We want to let's take a short break here, and then we will come back to finish.